Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Craigellachie 13, but not just any 13, Dustin. Ooh. The Bas-Armagnac. Was it a single barrel?
No, it's a new release they've done. It's a regular release. I think this should be available in your market. If it's not, it's probably coming.
Yeah, 46% like they usually are. Just like the, what have we done? We've done the, not the single cast series, but the standard ones. But we've done the 17 and the 23 so far.
Have we done a 17?
Have we? Maybe we haven't.
I don't think I've actually had the 17 because for some reason it's not available anywhere near us.
Oh, really?
I've never seen it here in this state, and I've never seen it in Kentucky.
All right, well, we'll get to it. I know we do a lot of the single cast ones, but I can pick up the 17. We'll take a look at it. Yeah. Anyway, this one, again, it comes in at 46% ABV and 13 years old, kind of like the standard offering of Craigellachie.
Yeah, which is a darn good whiskey.
Yeah, if you like the distillate, the warm tubs, and kind of like the copper sulfury note that's kind of known for, it would be something that would appeal to you, especially at entry-level whiskey at 13 years old. Yeah. Anyway. Those are our thoughts.
A little thought on Craigellachie. Mm-hmm. If you were going to do like a list, and maybe we'll do this down the road, top 5 alternatives to Springbank, because Springbank's become a very hard commodity to get. Wouldn't Craigellachie be something like it's got some similar characteristics that would make that list?
I mean, I haven't really thought about that before, but I can see where we're going with it.
Yeah.
All right, so anyway, let's get in this one. Again, nice little rich golden color. Armagnac, something liquor you're pretty fond of.
Very fond of, and I loved how it impacted that Chateau Labad Bardstown bourbon. One of the best bourbons I've ever had.
All right, buddy, let's get in this one. Stinging. Citrus. But the Armagnac finish is immediately noticeable to me.
Fruity, and then...
That's why.
I was starting to say nutty, but it's almost like a nutty oak. If that makes sense to you, Mike.
Yeah, I would almost say... Almost like a wood varnish along with a nutty note, but a little...
For me, if I gently bring in the nose, it's nutty. If I bring in a lot, it gets very oaky.
Citrus oak.
I don't like that oak note. I don't know why I don't like it, but there's something about it that's just unpleasant.
Well, it's that traditional Craigellachie kind of sulfury note mixed with the fruitiness of Armagnac, in my opinion, which is a little bit funky fruity. Yeah, you know what I mean? And usually you don't think of fruit that way.
It's that back-end oak note. And I mean, I like oak. You know I say that favorably. And I don't I don't hate this oak note, but there's something about it just doesn't work here. Yeah, it's just off.
I'll say this. There's a lot of things that I recognize just in Craigellachies in general, especially the older ones. It does come off a bit more biting and young, which would make sense based on the age of it, but...
Yeah, and my understanding is like this is maybe 6 months in the Bas-Armagnac, and I don't know how old the Armagnac was, but the color here is definitely not showing that there was any finishing done.
The more I go into it, the more the fruits become a little more candied, a little more rounded. You get more of a red apple,
up front,
orange,
definitely apple. But
orchard fruits.
The up front nose on this thing is really beautiful. Actually, I love it. Yeah, I mean, again, it's very, very nice, very fruity, very summery kind of a nose, for sure.
Craigellachie's always had a good malty, dense, oily, rich feel to them, and this is no different, even at 46% ABV. I love the citrus note in here. The malty character really stands out as soon as you swallow. A lot more dense than I assumed it would be at 46% ABV. Good, full, viscous mouthfeel. A little simple. It's fruity. It's got a little bit of that copper note to it kind of at the end on the finish. With sort of a overly sickly sweet fruit note, which is a little bit funky to me.
Yeah, I mean, I get up front that beautiful citrus apples and pears and maybe a little lemon. So yeah, it gives you that classic Craigellachie, how do I say this? It's again sort of sulfury, slightly sour finish that I really like. Just has that one moment of that weird chestnut oak kind of thing that really kind of, honestly, it ruins the whiskey for me, because otherwise I think it's beautiful whiskey.
This distillery and these bottlings are usually very polarizing at the best of times. So anytime you add a component like a finishing, especially Armagnac, which is going to leave an impression. It's always dangerous. It's always going to be not for everybody. I'll say this. It reminds me a lot of the 23, just with a souped up fruit note to it, a little more coppery, sulfury coppery, and then a little bit more grainy, youthful note to it. But there's a lot of similarities to the 23 here.
Yeah, I keep coming back to, copper and oak could actually be kind of what I'm getting at there. And I will say water, man, the nose just got way fruitier.
Yeah, it did. And it kind of melded a few notes together and kind of separated the other ones.
The nose is actually a standout. I want to say, Mike, this is probably about an $80 bottle. At $80, this nose is excellent.
It does have a good nose. It's more than just interesting as far as, this is doing a few things that I don't normally get in whiskeys. They're good things. You know what I mean? That fruit note is pretty good, and now with a little bit of water, kind of knocked out a little bit of that kind of sour, citrusy note. Almost like to where it's like now more of a rustic sort of copper note to it, if that makes any sense. I'm
almost getting this is going to sound weird. I'm getting something like a apple cider, but I'm not getting cinnamon. It's got that cider kind of thing going on.
With the orchard fruits, I mean, you get a citrus, but then the dominant fruit note right behind that is definitely apple. I agree with you. And I'm going to say a note that I kind of been formulating with the whole copper note with this, that it took water for me to actually get this, but copper nails in a tree. And I don't know if you know why they do that, but that would kill some types of trees back in the area. People thought it would kill, so they'd drive copper nails or copper stakes in trees that they wanted to get rid of. If someone had a lot of land somewhere, and where I grew up, there's a lot of people that had land, and that distinct note of kind of the sap kind of pouring out of the tree, but still that copper nail started to kind of, I don't know if they rust, but kind of pit and kind of, get in that tree. It's a weird note, and I never have thought of that smell until just now. Anyway, your thoughts?
Yeah, just back onto the palate, you get, water did integrate things better. That over-the-top kind of oaky kind of funk, that, again, maybe a little metallic, maybe copper is probably a good term for it. That's kind of spread itself out, not as intense. Creates kind of a sour, kind of slightly bitter, but well-constructed overall whiskey. I think this is actually a really well-put-together whiskey, Mike, in the sense that you get upfront sweetness, you get some transition, not a lot, but enough transition where you start kind of picking up the sour, you get a little bit of bitterness. Then you get that nice finish, which I just kind of think of as classic Craigellachie. I cannot talk today, guys. Really nice, really well put together whiskey. Not really doing anything that's giving me wows. Not really impressing me in any ways.
No, interesting whiskey, but that is a statement based on something you don't normally have. So there is a lot of that in this whiskey, and I like this distillery in general. But I'm kind of where you are at. This is a whiskey I don't know, having tasted it, if I would spend the money on.
Agreed.
So that would naturally segue into what is our whiskey score on this one. If you don't mind, I'd like to go first.
Go for it.
I'm going to be in an 85 on this.
Okay.
I really like this distillery in general, and I like cask finishings. Period. You know what I mean? I don't like Armagnac, and it added a fruity note to this. I don't know if the fruity note goes with their standard kind of sulfury copper note. That's just me, though. You know what I'm saying? If that might be your thing, who knows?
Yeah.
This kind of comes off to me, not as far as a profile, but as far as just how off profile it is. Like Balvenie 16, the French oak one we did recently. It really wasn't, that was a Balvenie, but really wasn't a Balvenie I could remember or compare to.
So for me, Mike, I'm going to give it the same score you gave it. I was between 84 and 85.
Me too.
I was going back and forth, but I think 85 is fair. I will say this, I'm kind of a little different, though, in that I think this should have been kept in those Armagnac casks for a longer time. I think there's not enough Armagnac character added here. And I think that's what's kind of
holding it back?
Yeah, I don't think it's been enough time. It added enough Armagnac to make you go, okay, cool, that's something different, but not enough to, make it actually, it needs to have a bigger part in the play.
Not enough to where it matters. Double-edged sword. It's there.
For me, guys, if you're looking at this and you're looking at the 13-year, just get the 13-year. I think it's a better whiskey and
cheaper.
They're about the same price, really.
I would say $8 difference. I mean, it's something when you're talking about $700 whiskeys.
You might be a couple bucks, but yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's just a better whiskey.
Agreed. Anyway, those are our thoughts on the whiskey. You guys had a chance to try this one. Let us know what you think. And until next time, Dustin, what do we wish the folks?
Happy drinking.
We'll see you then.